Hey everybody, this is Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff, and today is the very last day of CES 2017, the Consumer Electronics Show. And the Consumer Electronics Show is where you can go and see all the emerging tech of the year that's going to be both available and things that companies are working on. And every year I get super excited to see what is coming out, so I want to talk about the top 5 things that caught my eye that are going to be released, and then I want to talk about a couple of concepts that I saw that are really cool that we're probably not going to be seeing on the market, at least not anytime soon. So first, let's get into TVs. TVs are this big, unavoidable thing that you put on your wall that entertains you, so CES is a huge place for these things to be released, and Sony and also LG pretty much hit it pretty hard this year. So Sony has released what they call the A1E OLED TV. So Sony does not make OLED TVs. This is Sony's very first OLED TV, although the panel, of course, is made by LG. So it's 4K and HDR compatible. I'm sure it's going to have an absolutely gorgeous image. But what has really caught my attention is what Sony is doing with the audio of this TV. We're seeing that TVs are becoming thinner and thinner, and there's just no place to put speakers anymore. And if you do, they sound like crap, just being honest. So what Sony has dared to do is turn the TV screen into the speaker. They're calling this acoustic surface technology, and basically they're vibrating the glass of the display to put out sound. So they're turning it into an audio transducer. So you have the higher frequencies coming from the display when they're vibrating the glass, and then you have a subwoofer on the back that's like a little stand, so you have the lower frequencies. I'm really curious to see how that sounds. Supposedly, as the actors are walking across the screen, the audio is supposed to follow. They're saying interesting things. It's supposed to really bring the image to life. And Sony says that you should not see the vibrations from the display even at really high volumes, so I'm curious. And also you should be able to mount it on the wall. They say you remove the cover from the subwoofer area and it lets you hang it. So I'm not sure how that's going to change the audio, if at all, but really curious. Then also in the TV department, we also have LG Signature Oled W. So W is for wallpaper. And this is a TV that is so thin, it's 1/10 of an inch thin, that it looks like it's part of the wall. It looks like wallpaper. This is probably the TV that I would want personally to make it look like it's just integrated into my home. And again, this is HDR compatible, 4K resolution TV. So because this TV is so thin, they had to put all the guts into the sound bar, which you can place below the TV. So Dolby Atmos, it should sound really, really nice. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so moving on to talking about computers and laptops. There are a lot of laptops that are released at CES. We saw ones from Dell, we saw ones from Asus. We also saw Project Valerie. I want to talk about that a little bit later in the concept section. But what actually caught my eye was a Samsung Chromebook. And that's interesting because I don't really usually care about Chromebooks, but what's so cool about this thing is this is the first Chromebook that has Android application capabilities in mind. So you can load the Google Play Store onto this thing, and you can load Android applications. That is super, super cool. Also, it is a 2-in-1. So it goes from being a laptop to having a full 360-degree hinge on the thing. It's got a touch screen, it's got gyroscope and accelerometer, and it has a pen. So you have a touch interface that you can use, and also you can use the pen like a note pen. So this just seems pretty flipping cool. It's got an all-metal body. It's under 2.5 pounds, so it's pretty light, pretty thin. It's got a 12.3-inch display, which is not AMOLED, it's an LCD display. And I believe that the only difference between them that I can see is the processor. So the Pro version has a Core M3, where the lower powered Plus version has an ARM processor. Spec-wise, I believe that it has 4 gigabytes of RAM and also 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and it has an SD card slot, so you can expand that storage as well. So stay tuned for that. That's pretty cool. I want to get my hands on one of those. Next is the piece of technology that is exciting me the absolute most right now. It is the GH5. It is the update of the GH4. We've heard of the GH5 a little bit earlier last year, but now we are getting full details on the camera, and I'm floored. This is the camera that's going to make me go from my video cameras back to DSLRs. I've loved video cameras because I like being able to use one lens. This Sony camera has a super, super stabilized lens. I've got a 96 gigabyte hard drive on this thing, so I can just film forever and ever, and it never fills up, and it's 60 frames per second. There's just all these things that I like about this little video camera that is so convenient. This is the PJ790V, by the way. But this G5 is amazing because not only does it have in-body stabilization now, so you have the sensor that's stabilized, but you've got unlimited shooting 4K. That's nice. Basically, you've got 2 SD card slots. You can just continue filming till your heart's content. Not only does this shoot 4K, but it shoots 4K at 60 frames per second. YouTube videos, we're already seeing some that are 60 frames per second. And a lot of the time I like to slow footage down. And if it's 4K and 60 frames per second, I have a lot more information in there to help me slow it down. So I'm super, super excited about this. This is going to be my first step up to 4K as soon as I can get this thing. There are just so many reasons that this is a really great camera. So this will be my first venturing back to the DSLR realm. Super excited. Awesome, awesomeness. Okay, so we've made it to number 5, which is the final consumer product, one that people will actually be able to buy. It's called the Super Retro Boy. Of course, I have to cover something that's a toy. So it's essentially a Game Boy remake. It's even looking in the style of the very first Game Boy body, although we have a better quality screen. It's a backlit display, scratch resistant or scratch proof, shatterproof display, and it plays all the Game Boy games throughout the entire Game Boy collection, from Game Boy to Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance. So because it plays Game Boy Advance games, they had to come up with a solution, a button solution for the L and R buttons, so they just arranged those where you have the A and B buttons. I'm not exactly sure how that is going to work out or if that's going to feel nice enough. But this thing has a really nice large battery. You should be able to play for many hours. I believe they've quoted 10 hours. But honestly, the best Game Boy that you're ever going to play on is the Game Boy Advance Sp Ags 101. So it's the model that has the brighter display. Look at this thing. It's adorable.
Pika Pika Pikachu.
But still, with kind of the wrapping up of the 3DS line and moving on into the Nintendo Switch, I think that it's a really cool product to see. I believe it's going to be available later on this year for like $80 or something like that. So for those who are hardcore Game Boy people and you don't have an SP, for example, that's a good option. So now lastly, let's move on to talking about 2 of the concept projects that I saw that I thought were pretty cool. The first one is called Project Valerie. This is a gaming laptop that has been dreamed up by Razer. Now imagine this for a second. You've got a 17.3-inch laptop display. And then imagine that from the side out pops 2 other 17.3-inch 4K displays. You've got 12K displays here. That's insane. I think that they're just kind of testing the waters to see if anyone would actually want this, but I think I would actually want that. And it's not like they want to make this insanely huge and cumbersome. They're showing that it would be about the same thickness as other 17-inch gaming laptops. So you should be able to fit it into your bag. You should still be able to take it with you. Imagine the editing capabilities with 12K, just huge display. So they're saying this would be powered by an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080 GPU and would natively support NVIDIA Surround View with a whopping resolution of 11,520 by 2160. It just looks super cool. Of course, the deployment of the side displays would be fully automated, so it would be perfect every time. Come on, Razer, want. I'm sure lots of people are going to want this. And lastly, we have what Toyota is calling Concept I. So imagine in the year 2030 where we have autonomous cars, what that relationship with that type of car would look like. So they have no real plan to put this into production, but they're just daring to dream what it would look like. During the presentation, they were saying that we don't really react well to autonomous cars right now, especially if that car was to make a mistake and crashed. We would have no forgiveness and want nothing to do with such a thing. So they're thinking of how to make a symbiotic type relationship between a car and a person, where basically the UI, which they're calling UE, would get to know your feelings and emotions and your state of mind so that it can help you drive better. If it saw that you're really stressed, for example, it would tell you, take this road. It's a really nice, pleasant drive. That type of thing. And if it senses that you're too tired, it'll take over and it will drive for you. And of course, you can decide to drive manually as well. So that was interesting to see, just a very warm and inviting atmosphere inside this car shell. It's interesting for me because I'm an extremely nervous driver. I'm a good driver, don't have any violations or any tickets or anything, but I always have John drive for me because I'm just so nervous. So I just wonder what I would be like driving in this symbiotic relationship with this type of a car. So that's interesting. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition, but it was cute. So this concludes my CES journey. Definitely let me know what your favorite things were at CES. Please stay tuned for my Mobile World Congress coverage. I will be going out to Spain for that. Let me know what you guys are really excited about seeing at Mobile World Congress and what you want to see from me. So this has been Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff. Please rate, comment, or subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you're notified of future videos, or you won't hear anything from me. YouTube is just being weird that way these days. So I hope you liked the video, and goodbye.